Hey everyone, this is SciLife here, and today I'm recreating one of my old videos from my other channel from scratch. Today I'm going to be talking about a controversial issue in America, and here we go. It's not that controversial in most other parts of the world because, well, most other parts of the world and most other countries tend to believe in science. And, well, a large group of Americans do not. The issue I'm going to be talking about, and you probably guessed it by the title of this video, is climate change and global warming and how there's a myth behind global cooling. According to the IPCC, which is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is a group of several hundred independent scientists that the United Nations made over 25 years ago to provide very accurate statistics and research on climate change for global leaders. And according to thinkprogress.org, BBC, NASA, Earth Observatory, Scientific American, National Geographic, and the United Nations Environmental Program, climate change and global warming are both real and are man-made. The myth of global cooling started from a one-page article in Newsweek about global cooling in 1975 by Peter Gwynn. According to Scientific American, ever since Gwynn's global cooling story and a similar Time magazine piece have been brandished gleefully by those who say it shows global warming is not happening, or at least that scientists and often journalists don't know what they're talking about. Even going on to say that Fox News and several Republican senators have quoted the story, with Senator James Inhofe, Republican from Oklahoma, quoting the story on the Senate floor. There's even an article from Forbes titled "The Fiction of Climate Science, Claiming Global Cooling is Real." At the time, other publishers such as the New York Times and National Geographic even caught wind of it and published articles about it, and since they have both published articles saying how global warming is actually real. At the same time, there was also a theory of carbon dioxide creating a warming belt in our atmosphere, and by the late 1970s and early 1980s, it was quite clear that the temperature in our planet was having an upwards trend. During that same period, there were actually over 6 times as many articles about global warming as there were for global cooling. One of the main arguments by opponents of global warming that are also proponents for global cooling are that it's natural for the Earth to go through cooling and warming cycles, and that we are due for cooling cycle right about now. Well, they're right, except they aren't putting humans into that equation. According to earthobservatory.nasa.gov, the world is getting warmer, and it's quite clear that it's because of human activity. Thermometer readings all around the globe have increased steadily since the Industrial Revolution began. According to an ongoing temperature analysis conducted by scientists at NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies, or GISS for short, the average global temperature on Earth has increased continuously since 1880, and about 2/3 of the warming since 1975. According to Mark McCaffrey, Programs and Policy Director of the National Center for Science Education based in Oakland, California, if it weren't for the fact that humans had become a force of nature, we would be slipping back into an ice age, according to orbital cycles. But Earth's glacial rhythms are being overridden by human activities, especially burning fossil fuels, McCaffrey noted. The stories about global cooling are convenient for people to trot out and wave around, he said, but they miss the point. What's clear is we are a force of nature. Human activity, the burning of fossil fuels, and land change is having a massive influence. We are in the midst of this giant geoengineering experiment. As you can see, global cooling isn't real, and the only reason that any argument of it still exists today are because of biased news outlets that do not provide the real facts and cater to what they want their viewers to believe. You can see the difference between this image from NASA, showing the temperature anomalies of our planet from 1880 to 1899 and to 2000 and 2009. According to National Geographic, scientific research indicates that sea levels have risen steadily every year since the early 1990s. Core samples, tide gauge readings, and satellite imagery have been used to prove this. Over the past century, sea levels have risen by about 4 to 8 inches and have doubled their pace in the last 2 decades. Many reports also indicate that the sea level will rise about another 3 to 6 feet by the end of this century. National Geographic cites thermal expansion, which is when water heats up and expands, as about 50% of the reason for the past century's rise in sea level. Other reasons are due to melting of glaciers and the polar ice caps and ice loss from Greenland and the West Antarctic. A side note to this is that a majority of the ice and glacial melting at these areas are on land, and the water melts down and trickles into the ocean, which is what causes the rise in sea level. They aren't in the water to begin with, so the Archimedes principle, as well as other similar arguments, are not plausible or applicable. According to the IPCC, more than 97% of scientists in this field agree that the world is unequivocally warming, and that human activity is the primary cause of the warming experience over the past 50 years, and that falling short of 100% agreement is not a justifiable reason for inaction. Also, according to the IPCC, and according to the 2014 National Climate Assessment, over the past century, average sea levels have risen 8 inches, with most of the rise occurring since 1980. And they go on to cite a longer fire season, the continued collapse in both the density and volume of sea ice in the Arctic Ocean, the movement of plant, animals, and vector-borne diseases toward higher elevations and latitudes, precipitation becoming more irregular and intense, as many other variables as evidence of climate change and global warming. If you would like to see another shorter video covering the same subject, check out 5 Things We Learned About Climate Change by SciShow on YouTube. And another video talking about global warming is 13 Misconceptions About Global Warming by Veritasium. So there you have it, the proof and debunk of the myths behind global warming and climate change. I know it's kind of a controversial issue, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and hit the subscribe button down below or at the end of this video for more videos like this. As always, thank you for watching. Hi everyone, I'm here to disprove a theory or a rumor circulating around the internet right now. That rumor is